Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. This time we have a web exclusive figure. This one is the MS-06J Zaku II Wetland type version anime. So we've got our green Zaku before, which is actually my previous review. That's the MS-06, or later designated the F type. This one's the J type, so this is a ground-only version of the Zaku II. It's from Mobile Suit Variations, and we've actually had a figure of it before. Back in the MSIA line, when they were still being sent to the United States, we actually had a figure of the J type. It was a recolor of Char's Zaku II, because it was a commander type. And it was even in the same camo form. But that was the last time we got a figure of it. So they decided to do an update on it, and this is it. They made it an exclusive release, so it's a little more pricey, but they did add some new gimmicks to it and a new weapon as well. So let's check out what we get. So here it is, the Zaku II Wetlands type. I've never heard it designated the Wetlands type. I guess that's referencing this pattern to it, this camo. You know, the J type is green, just like the F type. They're identical almost. The only difference is the leg thrusters. So in the version animes, unfortunately, they never sculpted the little thrusters to begin with. So I actually have my Zaku II figure, and you can see it's the same thing. The backpack design's also supposed to be different, slightly. Again, same thing. They use the exact same mold, which is kind of disappointing in the Robot Spirits line, just because they had such an attention to detail. You know, I mean, they had conversion kits for like Heavy Arms and Sandrock for the very minute details between the Kai models and the regular. And something like this, which also has very minute details, it went completely unaddressed. Articulation is exactly the same. The joints feel a little loose, so this reminds me of the Zaku II Kai. It's super stiff going outward, but then they'll shake around back and forth, so they're kind of loose. So that's kind of disappointing for something that I basically paid a whole lot of money for a camo print on this Zaku. But it features all the same gimmicks and whatnot, so you can move the mono eye, all that good stuff. The blister package looks very similar, but we do have some new stuff. So, you know, if you want a little more in depth on the Zaku's articulation and whatnot, you can check out my regular Zaku II review that I posted before this one. But let's get into what's different in this release. So with the J-type Zaku, you do get the same assortment of hands as the standard Zaku, the 06. So you have your trigger hands, you have you know, some posing hands, some more neutral posing hands, as well as your Heat Hawk holding hands. You do get your hand rack, which is kind of nice. And this is how you know this is a straight rehash with some additions here or there. Is because you get the colony door opener with this release, even though this is a ground type Zaku, and you're never going to be recreating that first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam with a ground type Zaku. That doesn't make any sense, but they threw it in here just because it got released with the other Zaku, so this is supposed to be the same release with more stuff. You do get a commander type head, which is crucial for this release, because that's originally when it came out, that's what it had. But you do get this, which is kind of nice. So the original Zaku II didn't have a replacement commander antenna. This one does, thank God. And everything else is weaponry, so let's get into that real quick. So let's go ahead and start with some of the more standard stuff. These are all different colored versions of what came with the previously released Zaku II. So you get your 3-tube missile pods here. The missiles are removable, just kind of, or not. Let's try this. Oh, they're really in there. Let's try another one. There we go. That one's like glued in there. So they are all removable despite my failure to remove this one. And I'll go through why in a minute, or you know why if you watched my Zaku II release. You do have the leg straps, which remove like so. There's a hard point in the rear of the leg as well as the side of the leg for this one to plug into, and you just plug this one into the other side here, and then the missile pod will actually plug into that as well as the leg. So it's a little finicky to get it working, but once you do, it's pretty simple. You do get a black heat hawk, which actually looks really nice. Same exact design. You get a deactivated one as well. Again, all in black. You get the top cannon, again, the Magello top cannon. Which actually looks, I guess this is a different color, but otherwise it's identical. It's compatible with firing effects. You get the Zaku machine gun. So here's where it's a little different. It's the same Zaku machine gun, but what's kind of cool is you get an extra drum magazine for it. And we'll go into why here in a minute. But another cool thing is you get, if I can get this out of here, you get this piece. So this is actually a storage piece for your Zaku machine gun. And so it plugs in right like that, and you can take your figure and store your machine gun on its back, which I think is a really cool idea. Spoiler alert, it's on the package there. This little piece is not easy to get off of here once you have it on, but I did it. So you do have that. You have your Zaku bazooka. Same thing, it's black, but otherwise identical. It comes with the same 3 holders that were released before. So this one's for the rear skirt armor. And then you have one for each side of the backpack where I put the machine gun just a minute ago. So you have those. And then you have this, which is your cracker grenade holder. Again, they're just a recolor. Otherwise, it's the same accessory that the Zaku came with. And it's a nice one. I mean, it plugs in well, works well with posing, so it looks pretty good. So we have a couple more pieces here. We can get into this one. So this actually goes on the skirt armor here. It'll actually plug straight in, like so. And this will actually store your machine gun drums, which is kind of neat and looks really good. And you can also use this piece and kind of plug it like that and store the machine gun back here as well, if you can actually get it to go in there. There we go. So that looks pretty cool. Now you run into an issue. Now you can't store the bazooka going downward because you have all this stuff down here. So they give you another piece, which is this one. I don't know if I can get it to focus in on it there. There it goes. And this actually just plugs into both sides of the backpack, and you can actually take your bazooka and plug it in like so, or even have it turned down like that and store just about everything back there. You also have a point down here, I know you can't really see it, that you can store like the cracker grenades or the heat hawk or whatever you want back here. Now finally we get a new weapon, and it's a box. It's a big old box. It has a handle. This door opens up. You do get the same 2 effect parts as the other Zaku release, and they work with this box, as you can see. And you can also put the little missiles from here inside here to kind of fill it up. If you have multiple Zakus like I do, you can probably fill this whole thing. This isn't a weapon I'm too familiar with. I think it appeared in some of the video games, maybe some of the mangas. It's not actually listed as a weapon for the J-type, but still neat to have nonetheless. I think they could have maybe found a more creative weapon than just a box, but this is what we've got, and that's the effect part. So back to the original complaint with the Zaku, this is all you get for effect parts. You get no firing effects, no bazooka effect, no new effects, no nothing. Just the 2 missiles. So the J-type Zaku, unfortunately, is it's an expensive repaint of the Zaku II that we already have. You do get a new weapon, you do get some new storage parts, and of course a really nice paint job. I mean, they did really well with the paint on this, but that's it. You're paying a lot more money for a weapon that nobody asked for and some decent storage parts. It's just not worth the price tag, I think, unless you're like a really hardcore collector and you have to have every Zaku II out there like me. This is an easy one to skip because it's just there's not a whole lot to it. There's nothing that says, hey, this is worth the effort to get an exclusive figure and get this particular Zaku II versus just living with the green Zaku II that's a regular release. I think this would have done much better as a regular release. So it could have been more of an army builder figure, or keep it as an exclusive but put a little more into it to make it unique. But you know, take it for what it is. It's pretty easy to skip, I think, especially given the price tag, and it's only going to go up. So thank you for watching the review, and I'll see you next time.